Hello, my monstrosities. Hello once again. Today I bring to you a bit of a new detachment review. We've seen them on the table and in action. It's still early days, but apparently the conversation is already being had about banning one of them. So I kind of wanted to go over them and uh, just talk. Yeah, a little bit of yapping. Let's talk about the situation. First, I have a new funny theory that you can always tell which is going to be the best one when GW releases a batch by what's different about it from the others. Well, let's see, in the Chaos Demon detachments, everybody was blank Legion, until you had the Legion of Excess. And, well, in this round, you have Mordaka, Lions of the Emperor, experimental prototype cadre, technically doesn't count. Um, can you spot the difference amongst these? Yeah, there's no graphic for Mordaka for some odd reason. They just forgot to put it here. Instead they put it all the way at the bottom over here. So hey, everybody else had it in mind. It's just like, yeah, there's some fucking white space here. Let's do something about that. No. So, uh, looking forward, I will be seeing which one is different from the others and see if it actually turns out to be a powerhouse. But as everybody else could say, it doesn't take a genius to tell you that Sustained Hits 2 is pretty good. Um, this do we need much analysis of this one? I don't think we need analysis. I'm just going to give my opinion on it because I think this is all very goofy. I think it's very goofy. Um, Look, banning things what day one release when you just don't know what to do is stupid and a dangerous precedent. That's my personal opinion. Because the second that you have anything that goes, hey, this could be a little bit good, you just go, well, we did that for more DACA, and we did that for X, Y, and Z. Man, it's almost like it takes people a little bit of time to figure things out. So, I don't know. I just think it's really goofy. That's yeah, I don't even have anything constructive really. Like, oh, this is just what you do because of this. Like, I just think that this whole situation is goofy. So I have nothing positive to say. So I'll just move on. More DACA. Enjoy it while you can, I guess. I don't know. You come on now, everybody. You gotta find out a way to be better. If it's just that bad, you gotta find out what makes it bad. Besides just it's the sustain too, and it's just like, all right, that orc player over there rolled not a single six and 36 shots. So what? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Moving on. That's to say, Mordaka apparently has been giving people some guff. Then we go to Lions of the Emperor, which we found out looking over Meta Monday in the Adepticon video I posted. Hasn't been giving anybody issues really. Um, Instead, it does have a couple of quirks, right? It's just a little quirky, into which it the range is big. It is big, and if you're playing 2,000 points, I think this range, like, obviously, it will benefit you as the game goes on, much in the way that Crusher Stampede and Solar Spearhead do, where, hey, I'm taking damage. Now that I'm damaged, I'm below starting strength, below half strength. I'm getting the boost. That's kind of what Lions of the Emperor does, because it says, hey, against all odds, custodians are outnumbered on every battlefield upon which they fight, yet no matter the foe and no matter their number, the Lions of the Emperor will prevail. That's cool. It's cool. I just think that this is. Hmm. I think. Well, first off, I don't think you ever need to make custodians better, in my opinion. I think they're good, right? I think they're good. Not like broken, busted, whatever. None of that. I think they're usually fine. The other thing about this detachment is I guess you could even say that it's kind of like Hollowed Martyrs, or I guess uh, the sisters in general, where not the sisters Sally, sisters of battle, in general, where yeah, once they're out of here, you get something from it. Like that's what's going on here. So when you're losing entire units of custodies, then it's easier for you to not be around each other, and that's when you start procking this detachment rule easier. But um, I think this doesn't. I think it gives you the chance to. It gives you the chance to display mastery over board positioning and macro. But the problem is, it is easily countered by your opponent. Even if you have lost all of your models, right? Even if you've lost all of your models, or not all of your models, of course, but you've lost a lot of your models. Where I say like, okay, so now that you're down to 3 units in the game, it's probably easier for this to kick on. That's not particularly true, because if your opponent is playing a horde army, right, like where they're outnumbered, right, but the horde is focused on maybe two major spots on the field, you're probably not going to be able to not turn on your army rule. So, or you're probably not going to be able to turn on your army rule. Sorry. Because, like, for example, well, okay, here's the thing. It requires such maneuvering at that point that you have to wonder, are you going to benefit when you're custodies when you already probably are hitting on twos, right? The plus one to hit is perfectly fine, not saying that it's bad. And the plus one to wound, always handy, right? It's always handy, always handy. But this, I don't know. I think it just needs a range update, and I don't know what that range is because GW has been a fan of 369 basically. This edition for the most part. Hell, even 12 to some aspects. But they got rid of 3-inch deep strike, so we're not seeing too much 3-inch anything anymore. 6 inches stock standard for a lot of things. 9 inches not is 9 inches for like all the things can't deep strike and then turn on things outside of specific detachments. That is, and a foot would just be massive, right? So where do you get to having a consistent army rule with Lions of the Emperor? And is that even the issue? Is that an issue that I am making up? But as somebody that plays Tyrannage, I know that it's not that hard to get within 6. It is easy to fall out of it when you don't want to, but that's the inverse, right? If I always want to be within 6, I can probably make it so that my army buddy system to a point, right? Especially with the points of my army and what you want to do in the game of 40k. I want to hold objectives. I want to go to places together for the most part, unless I am dropping something from deep strike or just a board edge to score a point or two, like a spore mine and hell things like that. I want to do those things, so I'll incorporate things to get within 6 inches, and even then, I've made a couple of videos to talk about how you really can be fine without Synapse for a lot of, well, a good portion of things. Like, you will be fine without it. So there's there without. And I guess that's to the same credit of Lions of the Emperor, where you're still playing Custodes. You will be fine without the detachment rule because you do have things such as the stratagems, like with Gilded Champion, allowing you to do your once per battle thing twice. Now, to that aspect, uh, I think there's a timing issue on this one. I think it asked you to do this at probably a not great time. Any phase just after a Custodes character from your model has used its ability, you have to do it then. And this could be a huge waste. It really can be because you proc your blade champs once per game, and then you find out that you lose your blade champ, but you were confident, so you had to do it. And I'm not saying that stratagem should be foolproof, but they shouldn't have this much margin for error, in my opinion. Right? Like, maybe that's just me, but I think it puts you in a difficult spot where you do have to have the CP available on top of that, not just, oh, I think doing that once per game that I know I used previously would help me right now. Much like GSC, right? Where once your shit dies, you have to figure out then and there if that's what you're bringing back. Compared to like, at the end where it's just like, oh, yeah, maybe it'll come back or something like that. Or any of those stratagems. I think that Gilded Champion could do with just a minor tweak, and we might actually see this detachment just go back up. Not to say that 40, I think it was like 45, 47% on opening weekend is too bad, or was it 41? It was 40 something. It wasn't 50, it wasn't 30. That's all I can give you right now. Um, is it too bad on opening? And that's not even to say that this is the main problem. I just think that that's something that could help unleash the lions. Cool. I still think it's weird that it kind of immediately turns off your army for at least three models. Like, I don't, or I guess I should say at least two. That's odd. That's odd. Defiant to the last is cool. Maneuver and fire is good. Swift as the eagle good. Peerless warrior. Um, I just think that we don't need to keep doing stratagems for precision. I just don't think we need that. But they keep doing it, and it's okay. It's all right. Lions of the Emperor is okay. I'm not necessarily worried about it. Don't think it needs too much of a buff. But if they do that thing where they just change one or two one or two words, where they releasing some of those Grotmist detachments by nerfing them too. But instead of that, I think that'd just be fine. Going on to Tau, experimental prototype cadre. Didn't see a lot of this one. Didn't see a lot of this one. Didn't see a lot of it doing well. And it's interesting because at the end of the day, does Tau need more range? Is that like I like it. I think it's cool. And we saw that it didn't necessarily put Tau over the top, but unfortunately, I think that's still a datasheet issue. The times that I've looked over Tau, they have the same AP issue that I'm having with Tyrannage over here, but in the thing that they should specialize in, which is kind of weird. Wow, we're figuring out where our AP and melee is. They're figuring out where their AP and range is, and those are the things that those armies necessarily have been problematic with in the past. So they kind of overplayed it safe for the datasheet so far this go around. Will that ever be fixed? It's not looking likely this edition, but experimental prototype category. Was there anything that saves it? I think experimental ammunition and threat assessment analyzer are still going to be good no matter what. And the other thing, that's weird. I did not just move my mouse. Reactive impact dampeners. But with those, they're still fine. I think people just got to figure out the build a little bit more. Not to be like, oh, it's just you all are bad. You just don't know how to build your list yet. I think genuinely you might just have to lean on the models that you didn't necessarily want to lean on this go around. And I look forward to seeing this develop. People are still figuring out how to use auxiliary cadre because they've never touched their auxiliary units in the past three editions. That might be the same go around over here with experimental prototype cadre, where, yeah, the list that they made for Retcad doesn't necessarily work over here. Maybe it's a little bit closer to the list that they were developing for Kalyan or Montka, and that's the surprise there. Who knows? We'll see. And then finally, Shadow Legion. the other detachment out of these four that had a GT win this past weekend. And to my surprise, but not really, because I was like, hey, that Nurgle shit over there is pretty nice. The list, I should pull it up, but we're here. Uh, and what everybody else was like, oh, you mean the Corn detachment? Don't get me wrong, it's cool. And I believe the list did have double Bloodthirster. Double Bloodthirster. Ooh. But it also had Nurgle, um, Nurgle Soul Grinders. Actually, let me pull that up because you gotta give credit where credit's due. Let's actually talk about it. Dun, dun, dun. Let me not half-ass this. So, this was Jacob Andes, or Andes. I'm sorry if I've screwed your last name. Looking over it. Oh, the other funny part, there was no CSM besides the cultish mob. That's hilarious. But yeah, we saw Bellicor, Bloodthirsters, Plague Bearers, Beast of Nurgle, Flamers, Fleshhounds, Soul Grinders. Nurgle Soul Grinders, that is. And no Great Unclean One. So, 20 models that, if the strength is greater than the toughness, -1 to wound, uh, 110 points. Sticky? Last time I checked for Plague Bearers, right? Or is that the CSM? I mean, the Death Guard one. Pox Walkers. I'm pretty sure it's Plague Bears. I could double check all of this. It's early in the morning for me, and I still got to figure out some things for the rest of the day. But uh, Beast of Nurgle also with that. Annoying as hell. Flamers. Honestly, I can't even remember what the fuck Zinch does. Each time an attack target -1 to hit into the Flamers. Interesting. Fleshhounds. Advance and charge. Oof. Advanced shooting charge, right? Yep, advanced shooting charge. So Fleshhound's doing that for 75 points. Why was I going to say 40? Uh, double Bloodthirsters, looking at Fade to Darkness and Leaping Shadow. So let's go at those enhancements. Dun dun dun. So Leaping Shadows is the Scouts 9. Honestly, I didn't pay attention that it just said Shadow Legion model. So a Bloodthirster with Scouts 9 is my newfound fear. Fade to Darkness at the end of the fight phase. If the bear's unit destroys one of our enemy units that is not within, you can remove the bear's unit from the battlefield and place it. Okay, uppy downing Bloodthirsters. Yeah, I understand now, and I am now terrified. Hopefully nobody else figures out you can do these things. There's also, like, hold on. There's no infiltrators in this list. No Nurglings. No, none of the new Nurglings. No blue horrors. So we're just sending the Bloodthirster out there by his lonesome. Hopefully it didn't get screened out for the scout. Interesting. Interesting. This is good. I'm sorry, a Bloodthirster. Scouts 9. I didn't even think of that as any of the greater demons. Scouts 9ing? That's ridiculous to me. This is insane. I mean, I guess you can make um some Chaos Knights do that in, is it Iconoclast fiefdom? No. No, I take that back. That applies to the little ones in Iconoclast fiefdom. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Oh man. Oh man. Oh man. Oh man. So that's the list. Will this be the thing people copy? Honestly, I'm trying to find a hard way for people to not end up just doing that greater demon spam that we saw in Demonic Incursion, more or less, or the fucking red and green list where it was Corn and Nurgle. I don't know. Maybe I'm too high on the Great Unclean one, but a 6 of Feel No Pain, T13, -1 to wound if the strength is greater than the toughness. That just sounds annoying as hell. And then putting that for something like the fucking Nurgle Soul Grinders. That means they got Phlegm Bombardment, which is indirect fire. Oh, and that's the other thing I wanted to complain about for a second over here with Mordaka. Uh, Everybody, for a time there, with the release of the Astra Militarum and the Eldari, the Craftword Eldar Codex releases, everybody's like, oh, the indirect fires is coming. And hell, even I fell into it. I was like, look, everybody is saying I need to be preparing for some indirect fire around here. So, and Death Guard were doing it too. Alright, sisters, you're back. I'm just saying, if there was a time for people to be oh so worried about it, about Mordaka, uh, you know what's scarier than direct fire from orcs? I know sustain too, whatever. Is indirect fire, because you can't hide from that shit. So I'm just saying, I think there needs to be some more indirect fire and some less, and then we'll really see Mordaka be a little bit more vulnerable because we're talking about 1 and 2 wound models over here. So once you're doing that with some shit like Phlegm Bombardment Soul Grinders, and then you can't lift them in Shadow Legion, hey, it sounds like there's play there. But hey, what do I know? Genuinely, what do I know? I just look at trends, talk about the trends, and I'm just saying, I call things enough at a time. My hit rate's gone down a little bit this last go around. Not going to lie to you. Uh, I may. It's not too bad. I should keep track of that eventually and be like, oh, how many calls can I get right? But I say all this to say that these two, okay. Um, I don't know. I really think I think it comes down to build. I think maybe that's the other thing. Maybe I'm giving this part too much guff. Maybe it's the fact that you should be focusing on 3 model units. Maybe that's it. They are cheaper. Um, they have about the same stat line as, some scouts and walkers that are the scout sentinels, not the fucking little scouts, scout squad. No, like the walkers, Sidonian dragoons, scout sentinels, armored sentinels. They have about those defensive profiles, about the same ish points. Maybe you just need to break it up. Maybe you need to actually do that. I said that as a half joke, taking a guess at it, but looking at some of the issues of it, maybe it is going to punish you for taking the bigger blocks of custodies. It is you are supposed to be a hero of the champion, a champion of the hero of the people, champion of the people, the hero, the champions, the people's hero. People, we're dropping that angle. Whatever I was going for there. You're supposed to be outnumbered, and maybe you're supposed to take less numbers. Maybe you field more of them. They're deep strike. I know you can only take so many squads at that rate, but I don't know. Maybe you lean into it more. Look at your list. Maybe more of your things are supposed to be off the board than usual for custodies. Um, Damn near everything has deep strike. If not everything. I mean, the vehicles don't, right? But I'm pretty sure everything has deep strike for custodies, right? Anywho, yeah. Maybe that's not the issue. Maybe it does just come down to list build for these two. And people not wanting to try against this one, in my opinion. But hey. So yeah, I think GW did a fine enough job with releasing new detachments. So we'll see where everything goes. But yeah, if you like the video, like it. Got a comment for me, comment. And until next time, peace out, my monstrosities.